Hello everyone, this is Carl from Photographic Central, and today we're going to kick off my very first video review on the channel. We're going to start with a very special camera. The fine folks at Olympus were generous enough to send me an Olympus OMD EM5 II in the limited edition. This is the box, which is extremely nice in person. This is about as nice of packaging as I've seen from any maker out there, including Leica, for example. There are several layers to this packaging, so I'm going to kind of open it pretty quick for you, but as you can see, it's very elegant, very nicely packaged, very classy. To be honest, I did not expect Olympus to make something so nice. Not that I have any expectations necessarily of Olympus either way, but the quality of the packaging blew me away. So I'm going to attempt to open this nice packaging without tearing it apart, because I don't want to return it to them in shabby shape. So that's the first layer that you saw, and here's the second layer. Just set that box down. Okay, that's the second layer. Very discreet, very classy, just like the outside. Little catch hook right here. Pull that out. Open it up. Now, I already have opened this once, so I just kind of put everything back together. Sorry, I don't like dust. And I just wanted to show you what I saw when I opened the package. So your warranty card's right there in the front, which is nice. And there's two layers to the packaging here. This box here in the background, that's going to hold all of your cables and charger and strap and things of that nature. But this right here is another little Olympus OMD. So let's take this one out first. I think that's the way I did it last time. Yep. We'll set that there. And then you have this nice package which probably has your manual and things like that inside. I haven't opened this one yet, so let's go ahead and do that now. Sorry, I don't want to... Sorry, it's taking me a lot of time. I don't really want to mess this up. This is such a nice packaging system that it's... I don't know. I'm blown away. Anyways, looks like you have a nice basic manual. Another little pamphlet and online user registration, Olympus viewer for your images, I suppose. I've never used Olympus viewer before. And a full-blown camera manual right here for the CD. So you don't get the full-size manual, but you get a basic manual that'll get you started and explain most of the necessary features, I presume. So while it doesn't have a full manual, it still has a basic manual, so that's good enough, I guess. Put this back together here. So the camera's already out of the box, so I'll show that to you in just a second. But one of the things that really surprised me was this. It comes with, I haven't opened it yet, it's upside down, a matching mini wallet, which I thought was extremely classy. Let's go ahead and take it out, take a look at it. I will put it back in for Olympus when I'm done. But yeah, just like a little billfold. Put your whatever in there. It has an OMD card with it, a limited edition. Oh my goodness, wow! So it's also it's a billfold, but it comes with a card. You can see right there. It tells you what limited edition number that you own. That's pretty fancy. I don't know that I've ever heard of anyone doing that. And a little bit of text on the back. And it reads, if a new kind of camera inspires increasing satisfaction as the photographer gets to know it better. It will gain a permanent place in his affections as an indispensable photographic tool. And it looks like Yoshishisa Matiani. I'm probably killing his name, but it looks like he passed away in 2009, 1933 to 2009. And I apologize for not knowing who he is. I should know, but I'm not a huge Olympus follower. I'm going to admit that, obviously. But I have to say that this is the nicest limited edition packaging that I've seen from any manufacturer to date. And based on what I just read, I'd have to say that his dream is being fulfilled, because this is a very fantastic and impressive setup just for the packaging only. And I've opened other Olympus packaging in the past, and to be honest, I wasn't really impressed, but this is something else. So you get that with it, and of course one of the nicer black packaging bags that comes with cameras. I've seen these quite a bit these days. I also took off the D-rings off the camera. That's what's flopping around, because I can't stand the D-rings, so I took that off the camera. The camera also had a LCD plastic cover and a little blue cover over the FAW prism housing to cover that as well. So they really went all out to make sure that this camera was protected and well packaged, way beyond what I'm used to. I thought Leica's packaging was impressive, but I have to say that Olympus has at least matched the packaging. It may not be as durable, but as far as presentation is concerned, I'd have to say I'm almost more impressed with Olympus than I am with Leica. Anyway, I won't open this box because it's just a bunch of boring stuff. The camera strap is in there. I'm not going to open it. I don't use camera straps, but it feels like it's a very high quality camera strap. I would imagine it's leather or faux leather or something that matches the OMD EM5 too. Just put everything back in here, and I'm going to show you some things. So I didn't play with the camera for very long. The battery's charging right now, and these are my first impressions on the camera, really. I'm just going to go ahead and put everything back here because I want the packaging to be really, really nice when I return it. And I want to show you the camera. I already installed a lens on it. They were nice enough to send me the 17... I was going to put it on top of here. That looks nice. They sent me the 17 millimeter f1.7. I'm sorry, the f1.8, which is in black, which to me matches this camera perfectly. I have to say that in person, this camera is the most beautiful camera I've ever had my hands on. After reviewing hundreds of cameras, both film and digital, this is the #1 most beautiful camera I've ever had in my possession at any given time. I have some pretty cameras too, and I'm going to show you some of those in a second in my own personal collection. But I have to say, this lens is really, really cool. I read about the focus mechanism and how it switches between manual and autofocus by just simply pulling the ring back and forth like this, and then you have a distance scale underneath like the old film lenses or the high quality manual focus lenses. That has to be the coolest lens, a prime lens feature that I've seen for any digital camera yet. Olympus is to be absolutely commended on that. The implementation of it is absolutely excellent. The way it feels and the way it focuses, the focus throw is nice and precise and smooth, but the focus throw is not huge. It looks like it's about 45 degrees of focus throw, so plenty for manual focusing, and I'm sure when you switch it into autofocus mode, you could probably do a fine-tuning autofocus, manual focus situation too if you wanted. I don't know, I'll have to get into the camera and find out. But overall, the heft of the camera, the feel of the camera, the cool metal, the high quality rubber, it's very, very dense, but it feels very much like leather. Everything on this camera reeks high quality, much higher quality than the price tag. Even though it's a limited edition version, and it's higher priced than the standard version. This camera, I know there's not any difference in the build quality, but the finish alone of the camera, the beauty of it, and the packaging, I have to say it's probably worth it. Probably worth the extra money, because if you're going to display a camera on your shelf at home, I think this is one of the most beautiful cameras you could possibly display. While you're not taking pictures with it, it's one of the most beautiful cameras that anybody could have in their collection. It looks impressive online with their press photos. It looks impressive, much more impressive in person. And I know I'm going on and on about that, but that's something for me to say. I've seen many camera designs, and I'm typically a rangefinder fan. So to see an SLR gain my respect like this, like an SLR style camera, says something, because I've had some nice film SLRs. I've got a Contax SLR in there. I've got some Minolta SLRs that are really beautiful, and I've owned an OMD or I say an OM2 in the past. I used to own an OM1 and OM2 film camera in the past, which are cool film cameras, but this one's nicer. I'm surprised in the digital age and the way that camera companies pump out camera designs so frequently. Olympus really went all out on the OMD EM2. I just think it's the most appealing camera by looks alone, and I don't say that lightly. I'm going to show you a few cameras that I've got here with me. I've got another looker here, a Fujifilm X20. You're saying that's probably not much, but it is one of the nicest looking compacts out there, in my opinion. I've got the Lumix LC1, which is basically like the Leica Digilux 2, one of the, in my opinion, one of the nicest looking digital cameras out there as well. I've got a customized Leica M8. I've personally customized with a new black Leica logo on the front. This is not an M8.2, this is an M8. And I bought a metal Leica cover for my hot shoe here, added on a nice matching soft release here, and bought a really nice leather strap for it too. This camera, in my opinion, is my most beautiful camera in my collection, even over my Leica M9 in my opinion. But I have to say, side by side, the OMD EM5 II is a prettier camera. There's a lot of class put into this camera, a lot of fine bezeling, and the quality of the camera feels just as dense as my Leica M8, which is amazing to me. It's lighter, but it's still pretty heavy. I had an EP5 recently, which I was very impressed with as far as the build quality, and the EM5 II blows the EP5 away as far as build quality. The way that these dials are dampened is something I've never experienced. It's extremely nice, easy on the fingers, but not too light as far as an action is concerned. The front and the rear are similar. The front is even softer than the rear as far as dampening is concerned. The rear has a little bit more definite click versus the front one. The buttons depress nicely. The switch feels really nice here. It's not too hard to lift with my thumb. The button that's included inside the switch here is easy to depress with the thumb. May not be out as far as I would like for an auto exposure lock button, so I might use that for something else and probably relegate my auto exposure lock here or on the front of the camera here, which is another nice button. Everything feels metal, anodized, milled, and high quality. Even the lock release here has a nice click, if you can hear that. We'll just put it up here real quick. Everything just feels high quality. I don't explain it. The on-off switch is, it feels like a master jeweler that would normally work on fine watches like a Rolex or something like that has designed this camera. That's what it feels like. I hope that makes sense, because nothing about this camera feels chintzy at all. Maybe the door here, which is a flappy style door, but as you can see, there's a ring on it here for basically for its weather sealing, so it snaps in pretty good. I would prefer an opening and closing door, but that's okay. But even that's not chintzy. It feels really nice. Doesn't feel like it's going to wear out anytime soon. A couple plastic parts here, the sink, and maybe this button here for the lens release here. But even the lens release feels super nice. The way the lenses go on and off, it feels classic. I don't know how to explain it. There's a mixture of the old and new in this camera as far as the build quality is concerned, that is basically unrivaled from anything I've felt so far. I would have to say that the OMD EM5 II is actually a nicer camera than Fujifilm's X-T2 or X-T1 in person. It looks nicer, it feels nicer, feels more refined. Sorry Fujifilm, I love your cameras, but this camera has it beat. If I'm going to brag, have a camera to brag, walk around with as a showpiece, I want this around my neck, and I would probably even put a camera strap on it, to be honest. Something like I have with the quick release strap on my Leica M8 right here, where I can just take the camera strap off really quick with the quick releases here. It's so nice that I wouldn't want to beat this camera around. I'd want to be very careful with it, and to me that says something, because I don't want a camera to feel so nice that I can't use it normally, but at the same time I want it to look nice. So I don't know if that sounds picky or whatever. It could, but the camera I'm filming with is the Panasonic G6, and I feel it has a good balance of looking super sharp and nice with its design, but at the same time not afraid to take it and stick it in a camelback and stuff like that. So this is the camera, an EM5 II. I would be very careful with. If I put it in a camelback, I'd probably put a towel in there or something to keep it from getting scratched. I would take extra special care, of this camera just because it looks so nice. I do that anyway with my cameras, but I would be even more cautious with this camera, just like I am with my Leica M8 and my other cameras that I showed you. So anyway, onto the lens here. I noticed the close focus distance on this lens is really good. It's basically about 3/4 of a foot, which is pretty good for a 35mm equivalent lens. I have the other 17mm f2.8 by Olympus, and I have to say this lens is smaller and lighter than I expected it to be. It's more compact than I expected it to be, and compared to Panasonic's 20mm f1.7, I would prefer this lens, to be honest. Even though the focal length was a little bit wider, it would give me a little more versatility. I could crop shots with and stuff like that. But the manual focus feature alone right here on the lens is something that'll take me a little time getting used to. But I'll not want to take this lens off this camera. I'll tell you right now, that is too slick of a design, and I just don't know how to say. I know I'm going to love using that. I don't even have the battery in this camera yet, and I can tell you I already know I'm going to love it. Now I want to say, now I just praised the heck out of it. I want to say first. Okay, let me go over one more thing. Sorry. So the screen on the back is nice and flush to the camera. Okay, nice and flat. There's nothing sticking out weird, but it gives you enough purchase to grab on the bottom if you need to, or on the side here in case you can't get to that really quick. It's kind of cramped with your thumbs to grab that in there, but you can grab it from the bottom or the top just like this and pop it over real nice and easy. This is a really nice flush glass screen, and there's, as far as I can see, there's very little room between the glass and the housing to get dirt into, so that's nice. It feels weather sealed, the whole camera, and it has a real nice snap back, and the finish of the texture of the plastic here is really nice. It would be nice if this was metal, to be honest, with to match the rest of the camera, but Even aluminum would have been fine, but I'm okay with the plastic. It feels nice. It won't be cold on your fingers when you're shooting in cold weather. So there's some advantages to plastic that's okay. The rest of the camera feels really, really well built and nice. So I'm just not going to complain, I can tell you right now. So with all that said, all the nice things said, Olympus, I'm going to make a plea with you. I hope somebody at Olympus is watching this video. But these camera strap lugs right here on small cameras, you need to place them in a place that no matter what, when someone's holding your cameras, they're not going to dig into the finger. I would suggest moving it up here a little higher and up and away. I know it might look funny, but if you're going to insist on putting these post strap lugs on a camera, which I'd much rather have flush mounted ones, but if you're going to insist on having them, put them in a place that isn't going to dig into the finger. As soon as I hold this camera, I know I have to hold it in one position only. I can't hold it in multiple positions, because as soon as I change the grip of my hand, I feel that thing digging into my finger. See how it's digging in there? And I like to shoot with my hands in multiple positions around the camera. I'll shoot at odd angles and stuff like that. And this is a camera that I definitely would shoot at odd angles. I would grab it and shoot it, you know, around corners or something like that. If I'm, you know, it's light enough and small enough that I can manipulate it one-handed. But it would be really nice if I didn't have this thing digging into my fingers or the bones of my shooting hand, because that hurts. I got to tell you right now, I can feel that pushing against my hand. These things hurt, and I don't like them at all. I've seen other photographers complain about them, but they should go away forever. I know they're classic, and a lot of cameras have them, but I think you would win over more photographers if there was more of a flush-mounted, you know, the wide strap style ones here, or they were put in a position where they just basically never touched your hands. And I'm not sure on a small camera you can really do that. Sure, it fits between these two fingers here, which is okay, but I can still feel it on my middle finger right here, on the bone on the side here, and that limits my gripping choices, and I don't like that. I gotta say, I don't like those things. I'm sorry, I'm going to repeat myself 5,000 times, but I mention it in almost every single review that I do, and they still show up on cameras. Some companies have, some of their models have them, some of them don't. I don't understand the thinking behind it. If they must protrude, the Panasonic G6 I'm using to film this video has some that protrude, but they're long, flat style, and they don't protrude out so far. They'll sort of like this metal piece that comes up, and it doesn't hurt my hand at all. I can rub my fingers across it, and it doesn't jab into my finger like this thing does. So my only complaint about this camera, exterior-wise, is the strap lugs. They need to go. So with that being said, one more thing I want to note is that the eye cup on this camera does remove, which is really nice, and I assume you can get a different sized one, but I like cameras that allow that, because then you can clean the glass underneath there without having to get a Q-tip in there or dig around. It's just a nice feature, because if these wear out or you want to replace it with a better cup, you can. I'm sure Olympus makes a larger cup that gives you more blockage, but there's nothing else for me to say. I mean, everything feels high quality. If I'm just going by the way this camera feels and the impression it's giving me, this camera feels like a $1,500 camera, if not more, in person. It really does, without the lens. And I'm judging that based on my own perspective of camera value on the market. Olympus has put together a very nice package here. Based on the exterior alone, I'm highly impressed. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this video right here. I'm going to put in a battery. I'm going to shoot with this camera a little bit. I might bring it with me to Los Angeles tomorrow. I'm going to be driving out there, so I might bring it along with me and take a few shots if I get some time. I might not have any extra time, but if I do, I will. And then I'll finish the review, a written review of this camera, based on, you know, shooting experiences and such, and just kind of finish it up that way. So Oh yeah, one more thing I wanted to mention is the lock right here. I like that it's a lock, and the mode dial feels really solid. You could leave it up all the time and probably never move this mode dial, but I love that they've included it, and I love that they've included it with the quick release button right here. It's very nice. I think that's it. There's a lot of features to cover in this camera. I know Olympus menu systems by heart, pretty much. I know what I'm getting myself into here. Their menu systems are designed for, you know, the non-faint at heart. To people who are willing to take an adventure, I'm willing to do that. I'm not afraid of Olympus menu systems, and I'm sure once I get this camera all set up, I won't have to dive in there very often. But I know the basic specifications of the camera. I know what it can do, and I anticipate I'm really going to like it. So far, on the handling and the exterior, I'm extremely impressed. It just feels really nice in hand. The grip for the thumb feels nice. The buttons feel nice. Everything feels good except for those darn strap lugs. So, anyways, I hope I didn't ramble too much. Probably did. I'm not really good at this. I don't do videos. So I hope you enjoyed this introduction segment of my OMD EM5 II review, and thank you for watching.